Welcome back to the pod, guys. We've got Grafton Hearnsberger on the pod today, Startup Storybook. Awesome guy. We're going to hear all about him, everything he's doing. Grafton, what's up, man?
How are you guys?
Doing great. Glad to have you on today.
Awesome.
Doing great.
Awesome, man. I'm pretty good.
Let's
I'm
go
excited
right
to
in.
be here. So
Tell everyone like a little bit about yourself. How about that?
So I'm 19 years old. I'm a college student, and I go to a small private Christian university in Cleveland, Tennessee. So it's called Lee University, and I'm a business admin major there. And it's kind of confusing. I just finished my first year, but on paper I'm like a junior. So, but I love it there. They have a great business program, and I have a lot of great friends. But yeah, man, just I'm in that weird period of my life where you're 19 and there's so much ahead of you, and you're just like, yeah, I don't know where to go. There's just so much opportunity. So yeah, man, I grew up between Ohio and Texas. My dad was a pastor, so we ended up moving around a lot growing up. But right now I'm home in Texas for the summer, and so just been keeping myself busy this summer. So
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And your business and thing keeping yourself busy is ARCANE. So why don't you tell our viewers what that is?
Yeah, of course. So, Arcane is really just a private network for young entrepreneurs and the future leaders, really just to have a place, have a community together. Like I said, I grew up moving around a lot because my dad was a pastor, and I really had a hard time connecting with other kids. I never really fit in, and so it was always just really hard to find, people like me, people who were driven and ambitious, and all this stuff. And so really at the end of the day, I made Arcane because I wanted to make something, that little Grafton would have wanted, especially whenever I first started getting into my entrepreneurial journey. Like I wish I would have had a community around me, a community of people who thought like me, and who were driven and ambitious. I just wonder where I would be today if I did have that, because I'm sure you guys get it. The journey of an entrepreneur, it's lonely. It's a lonely road, and I'm happy that you guys have each other. But it's so hard to find people that you vibe with and stuff whenever you have that kind of mindset. And so really that's just my biggest vision, is to give an environment, an ecosystem for little Grafton, something that he would have wanted, to meet people like him. I mean, I'm a big believer in community, and just putting yourself in the right environment, and just, it's crazy what happens whenever you hang out with the right people and surround yourself with the right people and in the right environment that is just conducive to growth. It's just crazy what can happen. So really, that's the heart behind Arcane. So yeah.
First question, it has to be, where did the name come from?
Yeah.
Arcane, yeah. So first of all, I have a list of names in my phone of just words that I think are cool. And so anytime I start something, I go in the list of names and I'm like, which one of these names applies to this in some kind of way? And so Arcane was something that I've had in my phone for a while, and I was like, I don't know where I'm going to use this word or whatever, but I'm like, it sounds cool. And then whenever I was creating Arcane, I was like, I was really thinking about what it feels like to be me, or especially in that season. Whenever I created it, I was feeling really lonely. I felt like there was no one else like me, there was no one to relate to. And so Arcane just means something that is kind of mysterious or unknown. And that's just kind of how I felt in that moment. I felt like nobody got me. People just didn't understand. And so I felt like that was just a great word to, tie a pretty little bow around how I was feeling whenever I created it.
Well, and I love that almost as a metaphor too of entrepreneurship and being a leader and holistic person, maybe being something
Mhm.
that is unknown and harder to achieve than maybe most people are willing to put forth the effort to do. I think that's
For
that's a
sure.
really cool name.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you. No, I think you're 100% right, man. Like, it's a lonely journey. It's a hard journey. And so, that, again, I'm such a believer in community, because whenever you're going through such a hard journey, a lonely journey, like, you kind of need that community to get somewhere, or else you're going to give up. It's why most entrepreneurs fail. Like, they don't surround themselves with the right people, and they think that they can do everything on their own. But it's like, you can do everything on your own, but you only can do it for so long before you end up burning out.
Yeah, absolutely. So when did you kind of start thinking about this? Because it sounds like it's been a maybe not your entire life, but a long portion of years that you've been thinking about this. Was it in high school or the freshman year that you started Arcane?
So, I actually started Arcane earlier this year.
Okay.
You are right. It has been something that I thought about for a while. But especially in high school, that was definitely a time whenever I felt that loneliness, because I went to a small private high school. My graduating class had like 22 or 23 people in it, so I definitely didn't have anyone in there, that I really felt understood me and stuff. So I've been thinking about it for a while, but I was at the same time, I was pretty new to my entrepreneurial journey, and I was like, I have no clue how I would do that. Like, so I had no clue how it would happen. And then finally earlier this year, I was like, I think this is something that I want to pursue. And if it is something that I'm going to build, it's not going to build itself overnight. And so I think that was just a big thing for me, was just starting it because, it's just something that you can work on for a while.
Absolutely. And so you started this year. Everything we've spoken already. Everything's not fully up and running, and I've
Right.
looked. You're accepting um, your first few community members,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Is it what is the number of people you're accepting as the first cohort? I guess.
Yeah, so I'm really looking at about 50 people right now. Just free entry to join the wait list, and that kind of stuff. It's kind of something that I've had to put a lot of thought into, because obviously, whenever it comes to a community and building a community, um, culture is very important. And so you have to make sure, whenever you are finding these first 50 people, that they are a great culture fit for what I'm actually trying to build. Because, building a community actually isn't that hard, but building a good community with a good culture and the right people is a lot harder than you would think. So it would be easy for me to just find 50 random people and be like, you guys ever wanted to start a business or lead? And they're like, yeah. And you just let them in. But it's really about finding 50 people who can really be a great foundation for what I'm going to be building on top of it. So that's really what I'm looking for, is 50 great people to really just be the foundation for it.
And what are you wanting to?
So how are you finding them? How are you finding them? What's the sort of selection? Like, what do you look for?
Yeah. So, I mean, as of right now, like, I've just been doing a lot of cold outreach, finding people on Instagram that, I see what they're doing, and I like what they're doing, and I see that they would be a good culture fit. Obviously, whenever it comes to what I look for, really, I just look for people who are ambitious and people who are willing to um really show the world what they're doing. Because there's people, they'll have, entrepreneur in their bio, but you don't see anything on their page that says that they're an entrepreneur. You don't see any of their work or any of that stuff. So at that point, you're like, well, I mean, I don't know, like, what would they be a good culture fit? I don't know. They don't have anything to show and put up. But honestly, like, really, it's just about looking for people that I think are just sharp, and I think who have potential to do great things. And obviously, for each person that looks different, because everyone really does bring something unique to the table. Um, but um, I don't know. Like, it's not really a concrete thing. I would say it's not like I have a list of values, and I'm seeing, oh, they check off this box and this box. So.
And what are you mentioned earlier, the people being the groundwork and the framing for what you're trying to
Mhm.
build. So what are you trying to build? How does this community engage? How do they make an impact?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, online communities aren't a new thing. I think more recently they've been becoming a lot more popular. But really, I think the big difference is that the communities that are becoming popular right now, they're all centered around some kind of person, around some kind of influential figure who, they've mastered day trading, or they've mastered sales, or this kind of thing. And so they are communities, like, 100%. But I think the difference that I'm trying to make with my community is, I don't want my community to be centered around me. I don't want to be the thing that the community is built on. I want the community to be built on itself, to be honest with you. Because if you look at all these communities that are built around these influencers, it's like, well, what happens if something happens to them? If they drop off the face of the earth, what happens to those communities? Well, they probably just die pretty fast. So the real goal is to have a community with some kind of legacy, to where if something were to happen to me, that it'd be like, okay, so what? Like, okay, bye. Like, I want the community to be able to sustain itself without me. What was the other question?
Well, and
I missed it.
are there specific events or ways that you're trying to engage the community, but also make an impact? Like, for example, we haven't really talked about this yet, but one thing in my mind is like, are you going to have a meetup event where you host a speaker for all these people to not only meet and hear from, but maybe learn from as well, or something similar?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And exactly what you said is exactly a goal that I'd like to have one day, is physical in-person meetups, because it really, like, it doesn't get much more real and raw and connected as having a real in-person meetup where you can meet people. But obviously at the beginning, things are a little more lean, and I don't have the money to go throw around thousands of dollars for an event venue and all this stuff. So as of right now, really the goal is just to, first of all, create a place where people can communicate. That's just a huge thing, where young entrepreneurs can ask people who are ahead of them questions, where they can find mentors who are 2 or 3 or 4 steps ahead of them in their journey. Another thing is, really, there's just so much you can do digitally now. And that includes things like being able to do interviews with different people and different personalities, and give the users exclusive access to those kind of interviews. Not to mention, give them really like a way that they can interact. So give them a space to ask questions to these people in the interview and stuff that you wouldn't be able to do from just watching a YouTube video. But then even going a step further and doing like live calls where you review interviews with people, and there really is just so much potential for different things that you can do to get people to connect in unique ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Grafton, so for these first, or Wes, for these first 50 people, are you charging, or is it going to be free?
It's free for the first 50 people, and obviously, like,
and then are you going to charge?
Eventually, I do want to charge, and it's not because like I'm money hungry or whatever, but there money really can be a separator between people who are just kind of meh about it and people who are serious. And so whenever people are willing to put some skin in the game and put some money up, it says something about them. It says that they're willing to invest in themselves. And I think that's an important trait, like we were talking about earlier. A trait that I look for in people is people who are willing to give up something to gain something much greater. And so many of these connections don't have a value. It's really interesting. Well, one of the ideas that I live my life by is, you're only one connection away from completely changing your life, or you're only one decision away from changing your life. So if you can foster an environment where people have all these opportunities to meet that one person, or to, make that one decision based on a conversation they're having with someone, it's just wild. But yes, I would like to charge eventually, just so that people get some skin in the game, and invest in themselves.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm just kind of curious. Once you do start charging people, I've got quite a few questions on this, because I've seen a number of different community-like programs started up as you described before. So, in some of those, they kind of have like a course with content.
For
Is
sure.
that something that you're going to plan to do, or how are you going to market it? And like, is it a product, a service? Like, what does it look like?
Yeah, for sure. So, again, like I was talking about, people will they'll sell the course, and the community's like an add-on. And really, I'm aiming to kind of reverse that, where the community is really what you're selling, but it comes with this add-on. And to be honest, I don't want it to be anything like crazy, but just like a basic course for someone who may be new in their entrepreneurial journey, who they don't know how to start a business for the first time. They don't know how to market, and they don't know how to sell and come up with a product and create a mission statement and all this stuff. So just like a bare bones course that they can walk through, and then having other people that they're walking through it with that they can talk to about it. Um, I think that's one of the greatest things you can do whenever you are learning anything, is to be able to talk to people who are also learning it. Um, and that's something I learned. I learned going to a really rigorous private school with really high expectations. Is that what we'd do is we'd go learn, and then we'd go and we'd talk about it, and we'd teach each other things that we missed, and all this kind of stuff. And it's just crazy how much greater and how much more in depth you learn things whenever you are learning it alongside other people. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And some of this content, are you planning to obviously lead that yourself, or are you wanting it to be, again, more community driven? So maybe it's like smaller groups where, okay, this week we're going into breakout groups with um, random people in the community and we're talking about how to create a personal mission statement or that type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And like I love the idea of breakout groups. And it's honestly something that I've been exploring more recently. But I love the idea of breakout groups. And I will say that I will probably do just the more bare bones stuff, but I would love to bring in different community members that are successful in a certain sector to teach what they do. Whether it's in a short course, or whether it's in one of those live interviews. Um, I think that's also a big thing as far as recognizing people in the community who are doing something great and using them to show other people what success looks like, in the community and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I would love to bring people who are succeeding in the community to teach courses and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So Grafton, so you go to a Christian college, Christian school. Has your faith played any sort of role in your sort of overall sort of growing up, development, finding community, finding your people, finding yourself, getting to know
Hmm.
yourself, all that
Yeah.
kind of thing?
Yes. My faith really has shaped everything in my life. It really is the foundation and the lens that I look at the world through. Especially with community. I'm huge about surrounding yourself with the right people, and for me, that includes people that are Christian. In fact, I would say that's most of the people that I surround myself with. I really don't surround myself with a lot of people who aren't Christian. At least as far as spending a lot of time with them. That doesn't mean that I push away anyone who's not a Christian, but um, yes, but it's definitely shaped a lot of why I do things. I'm huge on generosity. That's one of my big whys of why I want to become successful, is because I love giving. I love giving, and even whenever I was broke, I would take friends out to lunch and pay for it. But it's like, you only can do that so much before you start overdrafting on your bank. So, um, generosity is a great way. Is one of my huge whys of why I want to do it. Um, Another big why is, as a Christian, I want to help people and I want to serve people. And in this specific instance, I want to help and serve people who are looking for a community, who are looking to surround themselves with the right people, and to give them an outlet to for their creativity, for their entrepreneurial creativity. So it definitely shapes a lot of the things I do and a lot of the whys behind why I do things. So,
Here's maybe a tough question to answer. So,
okay.
in my mind, the person you're looking for is someone fairly smart, driven to a self starter, right? Someone who's
Yeah,
doing things on
totally.
their own, maybe going above and beyond what they are supposed to do, whether that's in work, in their relationships, and that type of thing. And in
Hmm.
my mind, that person is not particularly, um, maybe not 100% outgoing and outwardly looking for maybe a community such as yours, maybe for reasons that I don't know. It's just a stereotype I have in my head. What is your plan
Yeah.
to maybe reach that group that maybe doesn't know what they're looking for or doesn't know the benefits and aren't looking for it
Yeah.
because they don't know?
Yeah, right. And I think that's a great question, and I'm not 100% sure that I have the answer to that, because I think that is a step I think in everyone's entrepreneurial journey is something is off, but you don't really know. You don't know what it is. Um, and so I think that's just a step in everyone's journey where they need to get to a point where they realize, okay, like I need community. I need the right people around me. And I think a big part of that is really just educating people as much as I can. Um, and like I said, like I don't have a 100% definite answer, but really just educating people on the importance of community and on the importance of your environment whenever it comes to growing and becoming successful. Um, a lot of that is going to be done with marketing whenever it comes to paid ads and stuff, but that's definitely one of the hardest parts is making someone realize that they do need community, that they do need the right place to grow. So,
Yeah, I think that's good. I I've been kind of thinking a lot about AI and kind of the social media and world we live in, um, with just so many things changing so quickly. And I think that
right.
the community and interpersonal relationships that we have are becoming more and more important,
Oh yeah.
especially as like AI girlfriends are being invented. Like,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Wild. It's wild. Yes.
there's things that are maybe distracting you or um, maybe distracting is the wrong word, are not as gratifying as having a true friend or a community
Right.
that you're in touch with. And the
Right.
busyness of the world maybe has taken that away. So I I really like the goal of community. And
Right. Yeah. And it's like it's really interesting, and I think you guys understand this just as well as I do because we are in the same generation. But like, this is the loneliest generation that has probably ever lived. Like, there really is a loneliness epidemic going on. With the rise of social media, and especially now with the rise of AI, people are getting less and less real, raw social connection. And of course, another big thing that I want to push for in my community is not just a place where it's like work, 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 success, success, whatever, but to actually find people who care about you as a human, which it is so surprising how hard it is to find that nowadays. Especially whenever you are in the entrepreneurial game and then you do find people who are like you, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh well, they don't actually care about me. It's like it's all about like what can they take from me? What can they take from me? But that's one of the real goals, is to give a community of people who like legitimately are human beings and care about each other, not just these guys that are looking to use other people as a stepping stool for their success.
in Grafton, one of our missions and things that keeps coming up in all of these episodes is how startups and the essentially small community that is your startup team of 2 to 20 people is your family, and that's one of the benefits of working at a place or growing your own business is that you get to
Yeah.
control that culture and, um, really care for the people that you're working with, and I
Hmm.
think that's, again, tying into not only your community, but also this kind of trend in the world of, "Oh, well, what can I get from you rather than what can I give?"
Right.
Um,
For sure.
and that's what we love about entrepreneurship and startups.
Yes, for sure. 100%. It's just, um, it's so hard to find. Like, I think as guys, like we get this. When was the last time you looked at your friend and you were just like, I love you? That's like a dude, and where it's not weird. Like, you don't have that. You don't have that. And honestly, like, it's kind of crazy. I mean, if you look at these guys like the Navy SEALs, like they tell each other that they love each other. And it's like, you think that they're these big, courageous men or whatever, but it's like, they really show you that you can be these big courageous men and still love one another. And I think the same applies to these kind of communities. Everyone's human at the end of the day, and it's all about growing alongside other people. So I think you're 100% spot on.
Grafton, I saw your Instagram. Do you have any hot takes on morning routines?
Hot take. I don't know. It depends on who you ask. I mean, my morning routine is a little like it's a little extreme. I would say, for most people, and unreasonable for a lot of people as well. But I wouldn't say they're hot takes, because I mean, I believe them to be truth. Like, your morning is the time of the day, like, where you're setting the standard for the rest of the day. And so, and I said in that video, if you want to have a great day, you start by having a great morning. And so it's really just about getting as many little wins as you can in the morning, because then it's all just downhill from there, baby. Like, do that. But I mean, obviously, yeah, I think because everyone is unique, everyone morning routine, like, it doesn't need to be the exact same. You don't need to wake up at 4 in the morning and then do the cold plunge and then run 100 miles. Like, you don't have to do all of that stuff, but it is really great just to get on a consistent sleep schedule and spend some time with yourself in the morning and grow and all that kind of stuff. It really does seem
So,
like it doesn't do a lot, but it does a
what
lot.
is your morning routine?
Say it one more time.
What is it? What is your morning
Yeah,
routine?
so I wake up every morning at 7. And everyone's different. That you guys don't have to wake up at 7. Some people, they wake up at 6, they wake up at 5, they wake up at 10. It really just applies to your life. But I wake up at 7. That's a good time for me. I wake up, I pray right after. I think that that's one of the best ways to start off your day with, is just spending a little you time just with God. Um, I thank him for everything I have. I'm a big believer in gratitude. So I always start every prayer off just by thanking him for what I have. And then I pray for what I may need that day. Some days I just wake up really anxious in the morning, and I need him to relieve me of some anxiety, or I don't want to get out of bed, and I'm like, Lord, help me get out of bed this morning. We just have days like that. But I spend a few minutes. I spend a few minutes praying. I make my way downstairs. I pour myself a glass of water with some. I'll usually use some electrolyte salts or or like a hydration packet, because whenever you go to sleep, your body doesn't get liquids or any kind of hydration for hours and hours and hours, and so you wake up and your body's like in shock because it doesn't know what to do. Your brain is like dry, and so you gotta get hydrated in the morning. But I've found that in the middle of the day, you just think way clearer whenever you get hydrated in the morning. It just eliminates a bunch of brain fog. But I take my water, I go on my morning walk, I get that direct sunlight in my eyes, which is important because it just helps set your circadian rhythm, your body clock, to know when to wake up and when to go to bed. And so, while I'm walking, I'm drinking my electrolytes, and I'm listening to some kind of motivational podcast or YouTube video, just to get me excited for the day. For me, especially, I have a really hard time, like, in that transitionary phase between waking up or between, like, being asleep and waking up. So the morning walk is just a great way to wake me up, and the YouTube videos or whatever, great way to just get me from I don't care about anything to, okay, wait, I should do stuff today and be productive. So finish my walk, I get back inside, I come upstairs and I sit in this chair right here and I meditate. And sometimes it's for 10 minutes and sometimes it's for 20 or 30. And it really just depends on how I feel. But I normally try to get at least 10 minutes in. And man, meditation, like, I used to think that, like, your name had to be Serenity and you had to have like a yoga mat and stuff to, like, meditate. But, like, it really has been a huge game changer for me as far as, like, how I think on a daily basis. And I'm just way more calm. I make better decisions. I'm in a better mood all day whenever I meditate. So it's definitely one of the biggest things that I recommend to people. And then after I meditate, it's gym time. It's gym time, which that doesn't need a whole lot of explaining. I think everyone knows why they should be going to the gym. There's a bajillion different benefits. But I hit the gym. I spend 10 to 15 minutes in the sauna after the gym to relax and loosen up, and then I get out feeling like a superhero, and then I go home and shower, and then I'm ready for the day. And it's just like, hey, you just don't have a bad day whenever you do all that stuff. It's kind of weird how it works.
I 100% agree with the going out and getting sunlight. I used to work at a golf course where we'd have to be there at 5:30 a.m. and you get to see the sunrise every day. And
Yeah.
you're out putting golf balls out. Normally we get to hit some, and there's no better feeling. It's great.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I love my morning walk. It's literally one of my favorite parts of the day. And some days, like I said, I'll listen to like YouTube and stuff. But some days I leave my AirPods at the house. I leave my phone at the house, and I go on the walk with just me. And those are some of my favorite mornings. Just like to be able to unplug and just start your day off, just you and yourself. Like, man, I highly recommend it.
Okay, one last question, and then maybe we'll be at time since you got a heart out. Do you feel there's a difference between meditation and prayer?
I think there can be. But honestly, like I think they're really close relatives.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a huge proponent of both prayer and meditation. I think the difference is really just what you want to get out of it. I think people they meditate for different reasons. Some people meditate, for spiritual reasons. I know especially a lot of Christians who they'll do some kind of prayer meditation or whatever they choose. There's some people who they meditate because they have anxiety or they have depression or they are insecure. Some people meditate for self-discovery to learn about who they are. And so there's really different reasons, but I think they're very similar. And I think that a lot of the time, whenever you are praying, you are meditating. So I do think that they're pretty close.
Interesting.
I'd say one difference is that like I think it's almost like prayer is almost like relaxation for the soul, and then meditation's like relaxation for the mind and body. And of course they're all connected, but that's how I kind of think of it.
No, I think you're 100% right. I think you're 100% right. And like you said, they are all connected. So that's why it's like if you pray, you also can get rest to your mind and your body. And I think vice versa. I think there is some kind of spiritual element, even if you are just meditating, for self-discovery or to calm your mind or whatever your goal is. I think that there is something spiritual about it, which I can't explain, but they definitely are all tied together for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Awesome. Are there any last notes from y'all, Daniel, Turner?
I'm good. Grafton, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you guys.
Good brother.
Cool.
Well, awesome.
Alrighty.
We'll link everything below, so go check them out. Grafton Hearnsberger, ARCANE.
Everyone check him out. Check out Grafton. Maybe he'll let you into his course. His community. Maybe. First 50. Cross your fingers, guys. Yeah.
All
All right. Cool. That's a wrap.